Today, we're diving deep into the very foundations of logic itself. And believe me, it's a strange and fascinating place where the universe isn't built on atoms, but on pure abstract thought. It all really boils down to this one simple, but kind of mind-bending question. For logic to even work, does anything, actually need to exist? Or can it just operate in a total vacuum? Well, it turns out pure logic might just have its very own universe of discourse. It's a realm where, honestly, the normal rules of existence just don't seem to apply. Okay, to get our heads around this, we've got to understand this key idea, a non-ontological theory. It sounds complicated, but the concept is actually pretty straightforward. It just means that logic in its purest form doesn't make any claims about what is or isn't real. Think of it like a powerful tool, a system of rules, and we are the ones who decide to apply it to a universe of real things. That whole existence part, it's like an add-on, not a built-in feature. So what really defines this virtual universe of logic? Well, first off, it's all about knowledge. It's a concept, not some physical place you can visit. It's created by this really cool mental process we're about to get into. And, most importantly, its connection to our reality depends completely on how we decide to interpret it. All right, let's play around with this idea. We're going to explore the first of two wild extremes that this way of thinking makes possible. How can we actually use logic to build a universe that has only one single thing in it? The recipe is actually surprisingly simple. First, you start with a standard assumption in logic. Your universe is not empty. There's something in it. Then you use tautologies, statements that are just always true, like x is equal to x, as your only rules. When you do this, you effectively erase all the differences between things, forcing you to treat every single item as if it were identical. And this quote just nails the result. Through this logical process, you are, quote, transforming different elements into one and the same abstract object. It doesn't matter if you started with 2 things or 2 billion things, they all collapse into a single abstract entity. I love this metaphor. It's like those always true statements act as a kind of lens, focusing the entire universe, no matter how huge and complex, down to a single unified point. And that point, that's your one-element universe. Okay, so that's the universe of one. But what if we go in the complete opposite direction? That brings us to the symmetrical alternative, our second extreme, the universe of 0. This is where a whole new possibility just cracks wide open. It happens the moment we challenge that very first step. What happens if we just toss out the assumption that the universe has to be non-empty? What if we allow it to be truly, completely, and utterly empty from the get-go? If we do that, we get to flip our logical tool completely on its head. Instead of using tautologies, those always true statements, to lump everything together, we can now use identically false formulas. Think of a statement that can never be true, like x is not equal to x. So what happens when you use rules that are always false? Well, no individual thing can ever be successfully identified or picked out. The result is total absolute indistinguishability. And if you can't distinguish anything, then for all logical purposes, there's nothing there. It leads you straight to an empty universe. So there you have it, 2 completely different virtual universes, built from opposite logical principles. Let's put them side by side and really see how they stack up. And look at this. The symmetry is just beautiful, isn't it? By flipping just one single assumption, whether the universe is allowed to be empty or not, we create these 2 polar opposite realities. Logic can give us either absolute unity or absolute 0, and it all hinges on that one tiny choice we make at the very beginning. Now, I know this might all seem like a pretty abstract thought experiment, but exploring these 2 extremes actually reveals something incredibly profound about how we normally use logic. It uncovers a kind of hidden, unspoken agreement that the whole system is built on. And here it is. This is the big reveal. That standard rule in logic, the one that says the universe must be non-empty, it isn't some deep truth about reality. It's just a technical agreement. So what on earth is a technical agreement? Well, think of it as a practical choice. It's an assumption we make, not because we think it's some cosmic truth, but simply to make sure the system works for what we consider the interesting cases, which is basically any universe with at least one thing in it.
So let's tie this all together. What's the big takeaway here? We've seen that pure logic isn't some rigid description of reality. It's a powerful, flexible tool, and its output changes completely based on the assumptions we feed it. The fact that we usually work in a universe of 1 instead of 0 isn't a given. It's a choice we made, a practical agreement that shows just how rich and adaptable logic really is.
And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. If a foundational rule in something as basic as logic is actually just a practical choice, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other technical agreements in science or math, or even in our own day-to-day thinking, are quietly shaping our entire understanding of the world?